Hello!
Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone between and beyond. Welcome back to Crit and Crit. I am Axion.
And I'm Scint.
And we are continuing our discussion of Pygmalion by George Bernard Shaw. When last we left you all, we had just gotten to the point in the story where Eliza Doolittle, frustrated with the way she was being treated by her prospective benefactors, has stormed out on Professor Higgins and disappeared into the night to spend time with her beau, Freddy, a young, noble, young upper-class gentleman of not particular brightness, but he is very
Is it uncouth of me to point out that, Freddy would probably also have jumped off the left when you know you're supposed to go right in the stage?
I'm actually supposed to go left here because there's a secret thing I want to get. This grabber claw
Is it the crushing embrace of gravity?
Yes, but also no. It's this thing. Which gives me extra life. Anyway.
Guys know we both need that, and when we're sitting here on the internet as we talk about classic lit while we play video games.
I am living my best life, thank you very much.
That would have been so perfect if you'd fallen off the platform right as you said that.
Yes, it would have. It would have been very funny. Anyway, continuing our run-through of the story, would you like to pick up from there?
Yep. So in the morning, Higgins and Pickering discover that Eliza is gone and, go to his mother's house to use the phone to call the police to find her, as they do not realize that she went to Mrs. Higgins for help and advice. Mrs. Higgins has no intention of letting them see her because she can tell, yep, they hurt her feelings and I'm going to stick up for her, which, solid. So, yeah, she eventually gets them to promise that they will be nice to her, and Eliza comes down to talk to them. Thanks Pickering for being kind and basically chews Higgins out for, being Higgins, as you know. Well played.
This is where we get the infamous line by Higgins that Eliza is upset at him for being unkind. Has she ever seen him be so to anyone else? Which Eliza admits, no, she hasn't, but that she's not going to serve that as an excuse that she's going to respect him.
Specifically, my manners are exactly the same as Colonel Pickering's. That's not true. He treats a flower girl as if she was a duchess, and I treat a duchess as if she was a flower girl. So, obviously you can see why Pickering's the one who actually has friends. Probably shouldn't stand right against the flambles while you shoot at them, just as an OSHA IRL.
It's fine.
Yes, beating your head against a wall productively, only in video games. That'd be nice. But yes, Eliza's father shows back up, still indignant about being miraculously rich now, due to what began as a joke by Higgins.
Which we kind of skipped over.
True, we can get to that later. Let's just finish with the important parts of the story, which basically Higgins wants Eliza to come back and, continue working with him, and Eliza is tired of putting up with him because, he's not very nice to work with. So, she leaves. And, this is where there's a pretty big divergence between musical and source material. So, anyone who has seen the musical My Fair Lady, which was admittedly how I was introduced to Pygmalion,
or the film.
Knows the film, which is based on My Fair Lady, so yeah. But anyone who has seen either of those adaptations of My Fair Lady would know that it ends with Eliza coming back. And that's where it ends. We don't see if anything further happens, if they keep it as strictly a working relationship, if it becomes romantic, if she ends up leaving again in 5 minutes when Higgins starts being Higgins again, but she comes back. In Pygmalion, she does not.
And Shaw is quite very deliberate that she does not come back and that she has absolutely no interest in a further relationship with Higgins beyond what is required of her to be civil in public and to maintain a relationship with Colonel Pickering, who she adores as if he were actually her father.
Which, once you've actually met Mr. Doolittle, you can absolutely see why. Eliza is a basically decent person, and she has not been surrounded by that many nice people. That is a mecha ostrich.
It is.
Or is it an emu? I don't know.
It's an ostrich, and it's got a saw blade.
Well, good, because if it was an emu, you would be out of luck, my good sir.
Yep. Thankfully not.
I mean, that would just be an unwinnable game, is fighting an emu on your own. Just ask history.
Which I'm sure we'll have the opportunity to make further jokes about that at a later date. I hate this thing.
What is it, anyway? It looks like an evil pine cone.
I'm not sure what it's supposed to be. Anyway. So that brings us to the end of the story. Eliza spends the rest of her life living happily, for the most part, with Freddy. She does, as she originally desired, get her flower shop, and can run it as she now sounds like a proper lady. Higgins continues to be Higgins. Pickering remains a lifelong friend of Eliza, and to some extent Freddy, and helps them on numerous occasions, primarily financially, while Higgins basically makes fun of her for not figuring things out on her own. Never mind that he is essentially the one who put her in this situation for the rest of her life. And that brings us to the end of Pygmalion as far as the plot goes. But as anyone who knows anything about literary analysis can say, that is only the beginning.
Yep. Before we started this, Axion and I had been talking about, well, I don't know if we could actually talk that long about a play. I mean, they're pretty short. And I had to tell this story of basically, I did my work study when I was in college at the University Library, where my shelf reading assignment was the literature section. So there was the very small part of this section that actually had novels. And then the very large part of that section, which was collections of essays about that small collection of novels. So, yeah, there is absolutely much more to talk about until we lose interest or just run out of game. So, I kind of want to start with talking about something that I actually did not realize was in here because I had never read the epilogue before, which is Shaw's very firm opinion about romantic stories. Citing one particular example where people in all directions have assumed, for no other reason than that she became the heroine of a romance, that she must have married the hero of it. Referring to Nell Gwyn in a play I am not familiar with. This is unbearable, not only because her little drama, if acted on such a thoughtless assumption, must be spoiled, but because the true sequel is patent to anyone with a sense of human nature in general, and of feminine instinct in particular. Eliza, in telling Higgins she would not marry him if he asked her, was not coquetting. She was announcing a well-considered decision. So Shaw did not think Eliza and Higgins would be a good pair, largely because have you met Higgins, good lord. And having seen how a lot of media tends to go, where it's, well, we must have a pairing off because people will not pay attention to the story if there is not some level of romance they can latch onto.
Yeah, well, I thought I could. Carry on.
See, Mega Man clearly also could not live without a romance to latch onto.
No, he mostly couldn't live because he only had one hit point left.
Excuses. But yeah, this is a very, very overwhelming trend in a lot of media where, no matter how little chemistry exists between the characters, there will be some degree of romance teased or stapled onto most stories. And Well, this can lead to a lot of arguments among fandoms, which is, fine, it's engagement and you want people talking about your work, but it does kind of, condescend to the audience to some degree because you kind of get the impression that they don't trust you to pay attention to the story unless they have a shiny to dangle for you. Which, yeah. And not to mention it kind of creates a lot of really samey stories that that really just don't get very interesting. But it also kind of leads to the whole, oh, they have been arguing, therefore that must be flirting. When sometimes, you argue with someone because you genuinely cannot see eye to eye with them and there's no romantic tension actually there. So, yeah, that's something else to read into this as well.
And that is where we'll be stopping for today, as we are out of time. We will continue this discussion and our further analysis of Pygmalion in our next episode. Thank you, ladies, gentlemen, everyone between and beyond, and see you next time.